Alright folks, so you got a 59 Chevy Biscayne here, and you got the dry shaft out. And you're trying to locate one for a 59 Chevy, right? Well, I'll tell y'all a little secret. A 67 to 72 long wheelbase, a long bed truck for a C10, the dry shaft, the rear dry shaft is the exact same. They are the exact same length from right here all the way back. Same U-joints, same carrier bearing even. Exact same carrier bearing. But the front dry shaft is shorter than a C10 dry shaft. Figured I'd point this out. A little side note too, the rear brake shoes and all the springs, all the hardware, even the wheel cylinders are the same as the 67 to a 72 C10 truck. Your front brake shoes on this 59 Biscayne are just a shade wider. All the springs and the hardware are the same except for the little pins that go through the backing plate for your hold down springs that hold your shoe down. Those are a little bit longer, hence because the shoe is wider on the front. But I figured I'd point this out, and I'm going to give y'all a little quick measurement right here. So original rear dry shaft for a 59 Chevy here is about 36¼ inches long, measuring from about ear to ear. Actually, it's about 35 and about 7/8, roughly. About 35 and 7/8, roughly. And then our one for our truck here, let me get it back on here, is 35 and, line it up correctly, about the same, 37/8. 7/8. The way I'm measuring, I'm actually measuring on the U-joint, so when I put the tape measure on there, it's actually pulling that back just a little bit. So they're the exact same length. I can prove that really quickly. Alright, so we'll line this end up with this end, butt them two together, get them leaves out of the way. Just this one like this, my foot, line them up just like that. Nope. Let's get them lined up. Come on now. It's got to be right. Here we go. Perfect. Beautiful. Beautiful. So we hold them just like that. I mean, that's butted up next to each other at the back right there. And come all the way forward. And I'll hold these two together like this with my foot. See, they're backed up. They're even out right here. And come up here. Push this one over just a little bit. Actually, I might have to lift it up. Move our carrier bearing out of the way. And leave that over like that. There we go. So they're butted up next to each other. Same thing. Come down here. Same thing. Up. Apologize, technical difficulties. They butt up against each other there. And butt it up here. They're not perfect, but let's see. Trying to rotate this dry shaft here. There we go. There we go. That's about as good as I can get it. But we line both our ears up on each end, and they match up. So, same length. Same U-joints. Same carrier bearing. Same thing. This is a newer reproduction carrier bearing. This is an old one. And it's shot. Our front dry shaft is shorter. Now, in this case, on this Biscayne here, I'm putting a Saginaw 3-speed. It's a 68 Saginaw 3-speed that we're putting in that car. And it's got the 305 in it. The car, like I've always said before, long story short, it would always be a 3-speed column car, and that's the way it's going to stay. And you know, in the future we're going to put 454 and all that. But quit mumbling. I'm gonna quit talking. Let's get something done. Get straight to the point. Our original right here. Huh. Just noticed that. So somebody's replaced that carrier bearing at one time. Yeah. Yep. Somebody's replaced the carrier bearing on the front. I just noticed that. So this yoke right here actually unbolts from this front drive shaft, and they didn't clock it right if you look at it. So if you go all the way down here, look, it's off. And if you look at mine, see that ear would come all the way back, this top one right here, right there, come all the way back. It's lined up. So if somebody didn't clock it in the right position, not a big deal. Just take a bolt, unbolt it, take it off, turn it the same position as right there, so they're lined up like my 67 to 72 drive shaft. I made the same mistake before. So that tells me that the carrier bearing more than likely been replaced at some point. Been years and years and years ago, but it's been replaced. That is interesting. And there's our drive shaft. That's why I couldn't measure it from all the way at that ear up here. I'm all the way at the other end of it. All the way down. Well, we'll get a rough estimate anyway. It is about... Trying to carry bearing over. Okay. Let's try this again. It is about... We can hold our tape measure still. Come on. Alright, we got about 31 and 3/4. It's about 31 and 3/4. And our one on our truck here, this one holds still. Alright, this one is about 38 inches, roughly. Maybe 38 and 1/8. So it's about a little over an inch longer. But the nice part about it is you can buy a 67 to 72 truck drive shaft and don't fool with the back. All that's the same. So from here back, it's the exact same as a 59 Biscayne. It's just a longer drive shaft. So you could actually buy this drive shaft, have it shortened down to work in your Biscayne. Now there is a difference between the slip yoke, so we'll point that out. This is for a Turbo 350 or a Saginaw 4-speed or a Saginaw 3-speed or even a Power Glide. And I think that's it, because I believe a Turbo 400, a Muncie, and a 700 R4 all use different slip yoke. But pretty universal. Different splines on this one. And apparently you had different splines on the original 3-speed too, because that's a big difference there. Yep. Look at that difference there. Yep. So I had to figure that one out. The slip yokes are the same length, so. Let's see, about 3 3/4. Yeah, 3 3/4. Roughly. So all that's the same, it's just different splines. But I want to point this out. I'm sorry for blabbing, but I want to point this out. So, long story short, if you ever need a drive shaft for your 59 Biscayne like I got here, go get you a 67 to 72 C10 truck drive shaft. Make sure it's off a long bed, and then you could just shorten this front drive shaft down and be good to go. You maybe, I would check, but you might be able to use a short wheelbase. I would check on that, because it might be it might be even shorter than this one, so it might not even work. But I might look into that, because if it's shorter, it might work in this car. It's a good thought. So I'm thinking while I'm making videos here at the same time, I might see if I can find just the front drive shaft out of a short wheelbase C10. And because I already need one shorter than this one, because that Saginaw 3-speed's got a longer tail shaft. So I might do that. I think we're gonna play around with this a little bit. I don't want to go to the machine shop. I don't have money to do all that. I'm broke. I'm poor. I don't have the money, and I'm trying to do this on a budget here. And we're trying to do it the right way. And sometimes you can get lucky and can find a dry shaft out of another, truck or car or something like that, and make it work. So that's where we're at. And I did notice one thing. I can't believe I didn't catch this, but somebody evidently, I doubt this car came this way, but somebody put these trim pieces in the taillight here at one time or another. These four there. And I noticed on this side it doesn't have them. So we're missing all these. So that's interesting. Somebody's changed that taillight. So that's got more of a story. As a side note on this car, here's a little story here really quickly. So somebody's changed this taillight either on this side or this side, probably this side. So they probably took it off of Impala at one time or another. And then they put a carrier bearing in the car. So it's got a little bit of a story behind it. Not too much so far, but it is interesting. And I think somebody actually changed 2 of the front wheels on it. Now, ignore these wheels. I got to looking at these wheels a little closer. I do have the original wheels to it. And they're a different color. And it's not like somebody just painted them, but I got that one there. Got this red one under here. A little bit of paint. Same wheel. That's not, no, I actually found that here. That didn't go in the car, that wheel cover there. But it actually, I believe, is correct. 459 Biscayne, I believe. But, so we got a white wheel there, and then another one underneath that's white. It's hard to see, but it's there. And there's our brake shoes. They're the same brake shoes as the 67 to 72 truck, except the difference is they are obviously wider, but all the springs and the hardware are the same except for the 2 springs that hold the shoes against the backing plate. And the only difference between the actual brake shoes, well, we'll say system, versus this car is this car didn't have self-adjusting brakes. And the C10 did. So you could easily upgrade a car like this just by 67 to 72 self-adjusters and just add them on. Because all of them are the same for the front and back. That's all the same. The only thing that's really different on the front is just some little pins that slide through the backing plate that hold the shoes against your backing plate. That's it. They're just a shade longer. But, compensate for a wider brake shoe. But little tricks like that, I can kind of save you money. And sometimes when you go, uptown and talk to the old parts guy behind the counter and they don't know what he's talking about, sometimes you can override them like that. That's, unfortunately what you got to do sometimes is you have to override it. And if you tell them I need brake shoes for a 59 Biscayne, they're not really going to know what you're talking about, and it's kind of not really a popular, we'll say, item there. But if you look up brake shoes for a 67 to 72 truck, boom, step finger, they pop right up. And the same thing. So it's just little things like that, I guess. But if I haven't mentioned already, I will say it. They are 1310 U-joints. And you only need 3, so if you're gonna make this video, not gonna keep it too lengthy here. And that's just a little tip. So if I need a 67 to 72 long bed truck, a C10, pull dry shaft out of it, and there you go. You can cut it down to what you need. But I would see, I wouldn't. Well, if it is a short bed, that carrier bearing is probably gonna be in a different position. So, I don't know. I would check that. I think I would just stick with the long bed. just to make sure. But if the carrier bearing and all that's the same, but it's a shorter front drive shaft on a short bed, that would work. But anyway, made this video because I run into this little problem here. Because, like I said, the Saginaw, that's a 68 Saginaw 3-speed. Get ready to pull it out, put the clutch and pressure plate and everything in it, and put it together for real. And make this car start, you know, moving forward with it and getting the brakes and everything straightened out on it and all that good stuff. And I gotta do something about the drive shaft issue. I'm gonna have to either have one cut down, either the original, or I'll probably just find another one, because I don't know if I'm gonna use it, because that one's kind of scaly. And I don't know, we'll clean it up, see what it looks like. It's kind of rough, I think it'll clean up, but you know, you don't want to play around with your dry shaft. You know, frames, suspension, your dry shaft, your steering, you know, things like that. You really don't want to play around with that, because that's kind of structural things. And you know, you don't want something weak, because that can cause an accident. So we'll see if I can find another one. We'll clean it up first. If it's not, you know, nothing really wrong with it, I think it's going to be okay. But I don't want to put something in there and it break it, because it's done sat for 30 years in the weeds. But anyway, that's where we're at. We'll see y'all later, and I hope that little advice helps. And y'all take care. Bye.